and I would like to personally welcome you to Unity Center of Des Moines, a place where we practice positive spirituality without the dogma. We are a diverse community that supports a positive spiritual path, and we recognize each person as on their own unique spiritual journey. If you are here for the very first time and would like to introduce yourself, whether you're visiting or just coming through and plan to maybe come back, we like to give some space. You can announce yourself, you can say who you are, and if you don't, that's okay too. But we welcome you. And maybe you're joining us online for the first time, and we welcome you too. Or maybe you're watching this recording later. Either way, we welcome you too. We are all one. If you're new and didn't see as you came in, there are some prayer requests and some other things out on the table as you first came in. I just saw Kelly. Anyway, I'm just excited that everyone's here and so blessed that we're together. Let's begin with song. We're going to have Deb Jennings and Susan Kellogg lead us, and the lyrics are up on screen. We love it when you join in and sing along. I am at peace. I am at peace. I am one with the Spirit. I am calm. I am still. I am doing God's will. I am at peace. I am at peace. I am one with Spirit, and I dwell in the presence of love. I am at peace. I am at peace. I am one with Spirit. I am calm. I am still. I am doing God's will. I am at peace. I am at peace. I am one with Spirit, and I dwell in the presence of love. And so it is. Thank you so much, you two. And now for announcements. We would like to thank Devin up above there. He has been on our prayer list and he has found a job, which is also going to take him away from sound on Sundays sometimes. I know. So we're both celebrating, and there is an opening for someone else to come and learn sound. And he is willing and able today if you want to go up there, and he can kind of guide you through what the general things. And it's a practice, right? Everything here is how it is today and not an exact science. And we just go with the flow. So if you have any desire or interest or willingness to help us sound, we would really, really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to add to that, Devin? Did I cover it? I got it. Okay. Other announcements, registration for the art fair closes on Wednesday, March 4th. And that's because it's in 2 weeks. It's March 14th already. So we are going to have live music all day. Thanks to Chip Albright. Yes, exactly. He's going to be opening us up in the morning. And so if you just want to come by and listen to the music, interact with really great people, that again is March 14th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I'm still accepting applications for vendors until Wednesday. So if you have something, an offering of some kind, something you've created, or something that will support that. We're also going to have food by Allie. If you know Allie, she's got nutritious, wonderful food that she's going to be offering. So it's a great day. Saturday, March 14th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And on the back table in the atrium, there are some hard copy paper copies if you'd like to fill one of those out and do it that way. Otherwise, the link to register is in the newsletter. It is also on the QR code that is available on the little flyer that's sitting back there. So there's multiple ways to get to that registration form. Just please get it in by March 4th. The last of the new member classes is going to be today upstairs starting at noon. So if you were been part of that, head up there by noon. It's the last one of this class. And then we'll have another new member intro to Unity class coming up in the next couple of months. So just stay tuned. We haven't set a date for that yet, but just know if you're like, oh man, I wanted to do that, you will have an opportunity. So just watch the newsletter and we will announce it. Special events this week. Deb Jennings has a lot going on, and I just asked her to tell us all about it because I wanted her to do it justice.
Hopefully my memory will serve me. Today, after the service, Judy, our speaker and guest musician, will be giving a hands-on hand pan experience, which is that drum right up there that she donated so generously to us. So if you'd like to learn about playing that, join us after you have a quick snack and come back in and we'll get started. Tuesday, big day energetically. There's a full moon eclipse. And so we've got stuff going on all day for you. At noon is our regular midday meditation. At 1:15, if you've taken the Gong Along class, we have a Gong Along practice session where you can play our gongs from 1:15 to 2:15. We're doing private sessions with massage therapist Heather Brown from Oskaloosa throughout the afternoon, and those sessions are all booked, but if you'd like to be on a waiting list in case of a cancellation, see me. 5:15 will be Kirtan devotional chanting. And at 6:30 is the full moon gong meditation, but we're adding in a healing ceremony and a meal for this one that Heather's cooking for us. And so that'll be at 6:30. So the whole day, come spend part of it, come spend all of it. And then next Sunday at 2:00, there's a peace meditation offered by Heart Guided Donation in here. That's what's coming up this week.
Thank you, Deb. Yeah, thank you for all your offerings and the way that if it's good for one, it's good for all beings everywhere. So we appreciate that, and it's a pleasure and a gift to be a part of it here. On Thursday of next week, which I don't have the date, Wednesday, the very next day, after what Deb was talking about and all those events, there is a breathwork event. And that's with Deval. All those details are in the newsletter, which you can go to unitydesmoines.com and click on the newsletter and see it every week. You can also subscribe and have it come to your email. Either way, that information is all there and also on the calendar, unitydesmoines.com. So if you're wondering the times of any of that, all that information is there. Then Thursday at 6:30 p.m., there's a group called Common Thread. And if you're not familiar with Common Thread, they are just a group of like-minded people. They open up with an astrology reading, and then there's always a speaker and time for community. So they meet the first Thursday of every month, which is this coming Thursday at 6:30 p.m. And the details of the speaker is in our newsletter this week. So if you want to see if that's for you, Common Thread is Thursday at 6:30 p.m. And then save the date because the men's group is Friday, March 13th at 6:30 p.m. And I just want to put a shout out that Abraham and Macy that run the community circles and Abraham that does the men's group, it's a safe place for guys to come together and be men. And so I just encourage you, if you have any interest at all, that is March 13th at 6:30 p.m. And you can read more about that in the newsletter. Are there any other announcements? How's Sarah doing with the?
I'll point over there.
Okay, we have been voting for Paul and Susan's daughter, Sarah, and she's been at 4 on Tuesdays.
She is now going to a place where she could begin the quarterfinals.
Yes.
Finals, semifinals. But what we did find out was the numbers. It's been a long journey, so there are probably over 20,000 people that were in this contest. and she's now in the final 500.
Yeah.
So it's taken a while for her to do it, but it's just been a profound experience. She's learned a whole lot, and at a minimum, her setting her goals to find a way to help women, especially who have lost their husbands or loved ones, and create that health and wellness energy for them has just been a super aspiration for her. So this has helped her to get that launched. So keep voting. It's in the newsletter.
It
Keep
is.
the same link. It's in the
Yeah.
newsletter. Thanks, Judy.
It is in the newsletter. With all the stuff you got going on, you got to kind of scroll down, keep scrolling. But there is a picture, you click on it and you can get one free vote a day.
Yes.
And that you can pay for votes too. But either way, we're just cheering for her and her journey and you guys and all the good stuff. So
Stevie?
Yeah.
Look, if you're donating, that goes to a not-for-profit to support the whole women's health and wellness energy. It's
oh, that's good to know. Okay, great.
Keep doing it.
Great. All right, let's do our statement of faith. It'll be up on the screen and we can say it all together. There is only one power active in my life and in the universe, the divine source of all life and love. Next is the unity affirmation, and we can say this all together. And before you speak, I just invite you to take a second, to take a deep breath, maybe uncross your legs and your hands, and just sink into your chair and feel the oneness that we all are. Unity of Des Moines is a radiating center of the divine light, mighty to attract its good and to radiate good to others. And with that spirit of goodness, I have a list of names that have asked to be read. And we want to send extra love and support to them in their journey, imagining them at their highest good, at their optimum function. Akira, Elena, Allie, Annabelle, Ben, Brittany, Buddhist, Carla, Seal, Chad, Daniel, Dennis, Dave, Don, Greg, Jack, James, Jan, Jean, Jennifer, Jesse, Julie, Karen, Carrie, Kim and family, Kirsten, Christina, Laura, Larry, Linda, Linda, and Linda, Lynn and family, Marty, Mick and family, Mike, Muhammad, Matthew, Paul, Pam, Patrick, Peter, Rahima, Rob, Yasmin, Rienzo, Celine, Selena, Sheena, Scott, Skylar, Susan, Terry, Victoria, and people with struggles we know nothing about.
And staying in that place of peace and relaxation, I invite you again to close your eyes if you like. And if not, to just take a slow, deep, intentional breath. Pause just a moment before you exhale and let it out slowly. Let's try that again where you draw in and pause just a second and exhale slowly. Feel your body just settle into a very peaceful place. Maybe bringing your attention to your shoulders and allowing them to just drop a little bit more. And another nice, deep, intentional breath. And this time, consciously feel yourself settling, your mind settling. And maybe there are thoughts that are coming through, and that's okay. Just let them pass through your awareness. Anything that you are thinking about, whether it's in the past or something coming in the future, anything that is grabbing your attention, just let it go. Just let it go. And just rest in that peaceful pause, just letting it go. Maybe thinking about your physical body, making a little scan through your body, maybe from your head, starting with your head. And notice if there's any place where you are holding, where there might be tension, and letting it go. Just letting it rest. Maybe checking out your face to see whether there's any tension there. Maybe your mouth wants to drop open. Go ahead, let it. It's fine. Now your neck and shoulders, let them be easy, and any burdens they carry are just dropped. You can pick them up later if you want, but for right now, just drop them. And your arms and your torso, anything that you're holding there, especially your stomach. If you're holding any worries, grudges, that's where they're living. And then your thighs and your calves and your feet, and just letting everything go. And when you do this, you are completely present, completely present. And the present is the place of rest. Even if it's just a pause, even if it's just a second. Anytime you come into the present, you bless yourself beyond what you can imagine. It's where you connect with your highest self and with the divine nature, not just in you, but in everyone. In this space of peace and relaxation, you can connect with the idea that we are all one. It's all the same thing. This rest creates that connection. And another breath, and just when you're ready, open your eyes and come back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Judy. I have to be careful. If I participate in the meditation, sometimes it's hard to get back up here. Um, we are still in Lent. It started February 18th. And the Unity Worldwide prints this little booklet that's a Lenten reading. And so, just like last week, I'm going to read for it or from it for today. The title is 2 Steps to Reimagining. The good news is that our lives and options are limitless when we open our divine imagination. No one and no thing can limit what we imagine unless we allow it. The not so good news is that in order for us to make the most out of our imaginative faculty, we must release and let go of limiting and negative thoughts, feelings, and attitudes. If we don't release old, worn out ideas and concepts, we will not be able to reimagine a better future for ourselves. The idea that we can release what no longer serves us and reimagine our lives was introduced long ago by Unity founders Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. They called these 2 steps denials and affirmations. They didn't mean denial in the case of avoidance. In the revealing word, Charles Fillmore wrote that denials are the mental process of erasing from consciousness the false beliefs of mind. Our experiences are based on what is in our consciousness, even those thoughts, attitudes, and beliefs we are not consciously aware of. So the first step is to release the false and limiting ideas we have accepted about ourselves, other people, or the world. Many of us are not living up to our potential because we have not let go of erroneous thoughts. The next step of reimagining is to use affirmations. These are positive statements of truth and, along with denials, can help change the course of our lives. The idea is to state what you want to experience, regardless of what you may be presently experiencing. Many of us get hung up on negative experiences and constantly dwell on them. Think about it. How often do you think or speak about the negative things happening in your life? How much time do you worry or talk about your aches and pains and all that you lack? Since it is true that what you think about, you bring about, we continually experience what we don't want because we're giving it so much of our attention. Let's try something new and begin to think and speak about what we do want rather than what we don't want. Let's affirm and declare that we are in good health, that we are successful in all our ventures, that all our relationships are harmonious, and that we have overflowing abundance. When you do this, you are lifting your energy and your vibrations to the level of that which is spiritually true. We don't want to stay on the level of material facts because we know that facts can change. The truth is that in spite of outer circumstances, we have the innate, divine, spiritual power to change and impact circumstances, to reimagine them. Let us accept this truth and work spiritually each day to manifest all the good we can for ourselves and others. Yeah, let's do that.
Amen.
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 And while we're doing that, let's sing another song. I'd like to invite Susan back up and they will sing the next song. The lyrics are going to be up on the screen and we love it when you sing along. I know that I am loved.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still, be still, be still, and know that I am God.
And so it is. If there's one truth, I think the Beatles sang, all you need is love.
Yep.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, and without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our very young Judy Olson. We may not see her every Sunday, but she is here in spirit and energy and resources. So we are very grateful for Judy. Please give a round of applause. Maybe we'll start standing.
Yes.
So give me that one.
Yeah, and you can have those. What a deal. I'm right in the center.
There you go. Good deal.
Oh, thank you for all of that, Stevie. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
So today I want to start this way. I want you to just picture in your mind how it would look if I asked you to stand in a straight line someplace in this room. Everybody in a straight line. Just picture that. Now, change it a little bit. Change the picture to a circle. Everyone is in a circle. What does that look like? Much better. What's the difference between those two?
Connection.
Bingo. Connection. Anything else you notice when you picture that in your mind? You're all connected.
See everyone.
You can see everyone on the circle. How many of you have heard of the medicine wheel or are acquainted with it at all?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'd like to talk about today. The idea of the medicine wheel is something that I ran into in the 1990s. And the directions, the 4 directions, actually 7, are kind of, it's about connection with the earth and the seasons, and all of that really spoke to me. I grew up on a farm, so it just made perfect sense to see life as in the medicine wheel way. Most of us in the Western world kind of live in this linear way of looking at life. We talk about the past, we talk about the present, we talk about the future, and the events are independent of each other. And the medicine wheel is a little bit different metaphor for living because there life is circular. It's connected and related. And as was pointed out, each point on the circle can see every other point on the circle. It's kind of an amazing thing if you think about it. And the medicine wheel is a way of understanding the dynamic nature of life. This way of looking at life helps us to live in harmony with ourselves, with other people, with nature, and with whatever we call the divine life force that animates us. Each direction has a number of symbols, but there's 3 symbols that are part of all of them. And one is part of the life of a human being, a stage in life, then a season, one of the 4 seasons, and then a part of the day. So that's each direction. And right now, we're kind of in the middle, heading out of the direction of the north. So if you look at the time of the life of a human being, it's old age. It's the season of old age. And the season of winter and the time of the day is the midnight. So that's what I want to talk about today is these 3 symbols and what they represent, because they do have something in common. They all talk about stillness and reconnecting, looking within, and noticing and observing and reflecting on that unique life force that we all brought into the earth with us. One of the big things about the North has to do with rest. We need space for rest and renewal to absorb the gifts that winter has to offer, which are You know, the ability to reflect and look inside, some introspection, the connection, creativity, wisdom, and probably most important, acceptance, just accepting things as they are. If I think about winter, I think about snow. Of course, we don't have a lot right now. Early sunsets and extended darkness. It feels like a time for slowing down and going inside and maybe staying inside more than we normally would. All of the symbols of the North counsel us to slow down, to be still, to look within and connect with the divine creative force that brought us all here. If you look at the handout that you received, there's a little poem that I wrote years ago about the North that talks about the three symbols I'm going to be talking about and what they mean. One of the things about the North is that it connects us with our greatest purpose, which can change from year to year, day to day, minute to minute, whatever our purpose is. And those are the unique gifts that we bring and the contributions that only you in your human incarnation can make. You are unique among all people on the earth. We are connected, but you are unique, just like every cell in our body is unique. And you bring some light to the world. Unfortunately, the gifts that you bring to the world are the same things that give you incredible joy and fulfillment. So I want you to pause for a minute and just connect with the idea of the gifts that you have uniquely. What do you bring to the earth? What lights you up? What kind of makes you get out of bed in the morning? Just pause for a moment. Think of those things. Let's hear it. What are some of those things?
Children.
Children,
Okay.
your pet.
Music and sound.
Music and sound, yes.
Friends.
Friends,
Environmental awareness.
oh yes. Being out in nature, that'll do it every time. So thank you. And, kind of keep those things in the forefront as you're listening to this morning and as you leave at the end of the service. In our part of the world, when the ground freezes, the perennial plant life seems to stop, but it really doesn't. There's deeper growth taking place underneath the ground. And that kind of growth can't occur when the tree is in full bloom, when it's producing fruit, when it's producing energy, when it's producing oxygen. It only grows roots in dormancy. And as the roots grow deeper, the tree becomes more stable and more solid. And the same is true of us. When we slow down, when we rest, our emotional and our spiritual roots grow deeper. And it's something that in the Western culture we don't value very much, but we should. The next symbol that the North honors is old age. That's the time of life when we're no longer immensely productive, we're enjoying the fruits of our labor, whatever they may be, and we reflect on life. We talk a lot about things that happened in the past. I mean, I'm in that age, so I sort of I can relate to that. And a remarkable thing about that is that as we age, our wisdom becomes the greatest gift that we have to offer. And because we are no longer in the stage of actively producing, many of us, we have the luxury of setting aside judgment and allowing what is just to be as it is. Stevie mentioned that we are in the season of Lent, so I'm going to tell you a little Lenten story. I was never one for giving things up for Lent, but back in the, I think it was probably the late or mid 90s, I decided I'm going to give up judgment for Lent. Because I thought that's a good thing to give up, candy or beef. Yeah, that just didn't get me very excited. But I thought I'm going to try giving up judgment because it was the one thing at that time in my life that made me miserable the most. And I'm sure it's probably true of more than just me. So it's not that I stopped judging. What happened was that as the judging thoughts were going through my mind, I recognized, oh, That's a judgment. And in that space, that awareness, I could choose to continue judging, which sometimes I did, or I could choose to accept and just let things be as they are. And I remember being at a faculty meeting during that time, and the principal was leading a discussion about an issue. I don't even remember what it was, but it was controversial. And everybody was kind of invested in whatever their opinion was. And they're talking, it was a deep discussion and sometimes a little confrontational. And one of the teachers said, "Well, Judy hasn't said anything," which of course it was unusual for me not to say something. And she said, "I would like to hear what Judy has to say." So the principal says, "What do you think, Judy?" And I said, "I don't think I can weigh in on this one because I gave up judgment for Lent." And the room did what you just did.
Yeah.
It relaxed and laughed, and the tension just drained away. And suddenly that wasn't such a dire circumstance anymore. You know, just that pause in judgment, that pause resting from judgment was a big part of it. It was a life changer for me. Another thing about old age is there is a gentleness in the declining physical power that makes allowances for the kind of wisdom that's not available for us when we're driving and we're producing and we're active and we have a million things to do and we're watching the children and we're doing whatever we're doing. In old age, we often shift from becoming helpers to people who need help. And in that shift, there's a new kind of wisdom. We don't realize that, but there is a new kind of wisdom in that. Receiving becomes kind of its own form of giving because it allows the grace to others to help us. You know, and being helped isn't a sign of weakness or a failure of strength in any way. It's just part of the sacred balance of life, giving and receiving. And if you've given a lot, well, you get to receive a lot. And old age is often when that happens. And the third symbol about the north that I'd like to talk about is midnight. It's the time of day that's reflected in the north. And midnight is a time of darkness, dreams, visions, and that's when it's easiest to connect with the spirit world. The Australians call it the dream time. You know, when your connection heightens and you're more aware of it, oftentimes when you wake up. When we make that connection, we can see and touch and feel inside of us what are the best things to think, to act, or to do that will help make the world a better place. And without that resting midnight experience, we can't connect with our innate wisdom. We really need to make time for that. And sleep's a pretty good time because we're not doing anything else. We're just sleeping. And it's important to connect with that wisdom. How many of you have said, you know, I can't decide, you're facing a decision, you'll say, I don't know, I think I want to sleep on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a reason for that. It's because we can connect with the wisdom that we were born with, that comes from the everything, from the universe. My favorite lesson from A Course in Miracles comes from the workbook, and it's lesson 109, if you're familiar with the Course in Miracles, and I'll read it to you. I rest in God. Completely undismayed, this thought will carry you through storms and strife, past misery and pain, past loss and death. There is no suffering it cannot heal. There is no problem it cannot solve. So, rest. What is that exactly? Well, it's whatever gives us peace of mind, whatever settles us. Kind of like maybe the meditation was a rest for you. Doesn't have to be sleep or a nap or a planned break. You can do it pretty quickly. Sleep, meditation. When I was reading this out loud yesterday, when I finished this talk, I was reading it and I said medication instead of meditation.
I've done that before.
And I guess that would work too. That can kind of settle your mind, but so can a lot of other things. Rest is anything that kind of brings you completely into the present. And for me, that's cooking, making music, creating art, or writing. Those four things can bring me instantly into the present. Because when I love you don't have to look at me very long to know I love to eat. And I also love to cook. and I like others to join me. And when I'm cooking, I'm not thinking about anything. I'm not worried about anything. Well, I might be worried that something might burn it, but or boil over or whatever. But it's not really a worry. It's just more of an attentiveness. And I'm all absorbed in the cutting and the mixing and the cooking and the tasting and the smelling and how it's going to look when it's served. And it's just, I don't know, I'm completely present when I'm cooking. And then there's art and music. Music is an especially powerful one for me. I love to sing. I love to play instruments. I brought along a couple of Native American flutes today, and I have to say that's my favorite instrument to play. And when I'm playing it, um, my mind just sort of goes off somewhere. I'm not sure where, but I have this sense of mindlessness, I guess you could call it, or openness or vastness. I just feel huge, and oftentimes I'll lose a sense of my body altogether. And that is for me the ultimate peace of mind. And that kind of rest is a holy pause, a pause before moving on to the next thing. And it's important to pause. I remember years ago, my husband passed away, and we had a little neighbor girl who would come over every day after school and check to see if I needed anything. And sometimes she had a little friend named Benny, and he would come along. And sometimes I would give them something, a list to go and some money to go to the grocery store. And a lot of times I didn't have anything for them to do, so we just sat down and had a cookie. And there was a time when I wanted to redo the cupboards. So Destiny was this girl's name, and she came over. She was 10, 11 at the time. Good help. So she would get up on the counters and hand everything down. And we developed this plan before we cleaned the cupboards that I would pick a cupboard first, and then we clean that. And there were, I think, 18 doors or something like that in the kitchen. And then she could pick a door, and we would clean that. So that's how we did it. And I picked one that was way up high first, and we finished it up, and she handed down the dishes, and I was sorting through, here are things I don't want to keep, this needs to be cleaned, yada, yada. Cleaned the stuff, put it all back in the cupboard, and I said, now it's your turn. You pick a door. And she said, wait, aren't we going to just stop and look at it for a little bit? And that was such a new thing for me because, in my work life and growing up on a farm, it's one thing and then the next and the next and the next and the next. And there isn't a whole lot of room for pausing. But Genesis 2, verses 2 and 3 says, by the seventh day, God had finished the work of creating, which was probably a pretty big job. And on the seventh day, rested from all the work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. Rest is holy. And I think about what happens when we intentionally rest. First of all, we have an opportunity to just drop all those burdens and all of our baggage, and we don't need to control things just for that time when we're resting. And we might even make contact with the idea that we really don't control very much. We think we do, but we try really hard, but we don't. And in those moments of rest, we can become a human being instead of a human doing. It's when we spend much of our lives being human doing is being a human doing. So times of stillness allow us to see how full our lives really are and how diverse and how wonderful the world is. And it gives us some time to think about our relationships and how we can appreciate them, how we can bring more goodness to those. I remember when a real dear friend of mine found out from the doctor she had 2 or 3 months to live. And she said, you know what? I just don't have time to rush. And it struck me as kind of funny, but then it seemed true. And I had my first lesson in rushing from my son, who's now 43, when he was 3 years old. We had 3 teenagers in the house who all had to go to different schools. Matthew, my son, had to go to daycare, my littlest son, and I had to go to work. So every other word out of my mouth is hurry up, it's already da 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 da. Come on, let's go. And so I'm rushing to get everybody out of there, and Matthew is going out the stairs, and he sits down on the back steps, 10 feet away from the car. And I'm like, Matthew, get up, get in the car, hurry up. And he's sitting there and he's got his chin in his little hands and he says, Mom, hurrying is bad for you. And it was very true. Didn't make me stop hurrying, but at least I realized that it was true. Oh, so when we hurry, we just sort of leave the blessed present. We're someplace else. I was looking ahead. Who do I have to drop off? Yada, yada. And mostly what happens when we rush is that we sacrifice our peace of mind, and really nothing is worth that. Several years ago, I had a yoga teacher, a restorative yoga teacher. Some of you may know him, Lance Kinseth, and he would talk about the peaceful pause between breaths, and you constantly or intentionally just stay there when you were breathing. So if you think about it, every breath offers us a chance to pause. And whether we do it consciously or just, we can do it consciously, but eventually it becomes an unconscious thing. And when you're breathing, pause is part of the breath. It's a remarkable thing. We don't always need a vacation or sleep or a break to rest. It's just a pause, a holy pause. That's all we need to connect and realize everything is all one. Arthur Rubinstein was one of the best pianists ever to walk on the earth. And this is what he said. He said, I handle the notes no better than most, but the pauses, that's where the music is. And just a couple of months ago, I was listening to a Yo-Yo Ma interview, and he said kind of the same thing. He said, music is, I want to get this right, music is the space between the notes. Those pauses, that space is the divine. The pauses. And we just right over those pauses. Yeah, we're moving on. And I think about the wisdom of these metaphors. If you think about a fire, wood fire that you're making in your fireplace or out beside a lake, the fire, the light and the heat comes through the space. It's not the logs. The logs are important, of course, but it's the space that produces the fire and the light. Or if you've ever driven through really dense fog and you can't even see the lines on the highway, and all of a sudden you drive into perfect clarity, space where the fog clears and you can see everything. That's kind of what a pause does. It's a time when the vision or the light comes through and you can see clearly. It's a remarkable thing. And even the slightest intentional pause, they always say when you're mad, you should take a deep breath. That's what that is. And you can feel when you do that, you can feel more clarified energy that flows through you when you take those pauses. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with living everyday life and doing the things that you have to do on that journey. But sometimes that doing kind of becomes an addiction that crowds out all the space. And you know what happens if you try to light, let's say you have a stack of 2x4s and you try to light them on fire, they're not going to really catch very much. But if you provide space, then they will. Sometimes all that doing that we do becomes an addiction and it crowds it out. And we don't want to turn off our phones because we might miss an email or a text or a notification or something really important that's coming through that little box that we carry with us every place we go. And it keeps us in the shallow water, the ankle deep and knee deep water, and we never give ourselves a chance to go out into the deep water where we can feel the flow and we can float and feel the gentleness and the support of the water. When we're in that doing mode, sometimes we develop a little anxiety about being disconnected from all those tasks. It's an anxiousness, kind of a restlessness. That's when we know that our doing self has a big problem. And it's also the cue that alerts us that, we have an opportunity to change. There's nothing wrong with the doing self unless we're stuck in it. And a pause unsticks us. That's the important thing. It allows us to make some peace with the anxiety and the fear that often drives us. And when you stop in the middle of being really busy with something that's, just consuming you and you have that overwhelmed kind of feeling, when you pause, that overwhelmed feeling loses its power And in that instant, you can choose to continue doing what you're doing, but not to latch onto the anxiety and the restlessness. Viktor Frankl, author of the book Mankind's Search for Meaning, wrote about his experience in a brutal German concentration camp and the process of finding peace of mind in those horrid, impossible circumstances. And he said, I have to read this, between the stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom, our power to change. For instance, when someone cuts you off in traffic, you can become irritated. Some people rage. And just a short pause gives you an opportunity to choose a different, maybe more measured response to something that has already happened and simply can't be changed. What's the point in getting all upset about it? It's done. No one can imprison or disturb our peace of mind once we embrace that kind of power. And something as small as a deep breath can do that. You did that when we were doing the meditation earlier today, just a couple of deep breaths. That pause between the in breath and the out breath and the exhale, that's magic. That's where the magic is. It's impossible not to be present when you take an intentional, slow, deep breath. And if you take nothing else from this, what I've said this morning, take that one with and do it once in a while. A mere 10-second pause is enough to accomplish that. You can completely sabotage your limbic brain. It's that primitive part of your brain that hijacks your thoughts and keeps you running the human rat race. A slow, deep, intentional breath resets your whole parasympathetic nervous system. That's the nervous system that causes you to relax. Truly, it changes you. Take a few deep breaths and pay attention to your senses, to what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're smelling, and what you feel in your body. And the symbols of the North, winter, old age, midnight, they counsel us to rest, to reflect, to connect with our deeper, higher selves, and to remember who we really are. I'd like to thank you so much for the gift of your attention this morning. And remember to pause and connect. It'll change your life.
Thank you.
I got your microphone all sweaty in my hand.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to tie Judy's message into the 5 principles of unity, what came to me the most was principle 4, in that pause is a kind of prayer. And principle 4 is that prayer is creative thinking that heightens connection with God mind and therefore brings forth wisdom, healing, prosperity, and everything good. The affirmation that goes along with this, you can take it with you out into the world. I am open and receptive to guidance. I am one with Source. Oh, yes, we can all say it together. I am open and receptive to guidance. I am one with Source. All right. It's okay. If you would like to share your resources with Unity Center of Des Moines to help keep the lights on, help keep this building going, help keep all the things that we have offered going, now is your opportunity to do so. And we accept donations via Venmo and Zelle as well. If you're joining us online or maybe don't carry cash, we have little QR codes for that. And if you would like your donation credited, you need to write your name on an envelope and put cash in there. Otherwise, whatever you are able to contribute, we are deeply grateful and we want to offer this affirmation. Let's say it all together. I am infinitely abundant. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I thankfully acknowledge the divine source.
Oops, turned it off. That was bad.
It's gotta be up close because that's how it will pick up your voice.
Okay. Close. All right, we
All right,
got it.
yeah.
The song that I'm going to sing is one I wrote several years ago, and it's called The Wisdom of the Tree. And Deb has composed the accompaniment for this, and so I'm really thankful to be able to share this with you this morning. Fallen leaves and barren branches do not signify my death. They are merely markers of a slower, subtler breath. Solid roots sustain my life far below the earth. Deeper growth is taking place, preparing for its birth. Learn from me, my busy friend. Slow your life and breathe. Lay your sundry burdens down, open to receive. Open, open to receive. Open, open, open to receive. Deep within my solid core, hidden from your view, my lifeblood maintains the flow to refresh and to renew. This is where I gather strength through much needed rest. This is where my visions come and guidance at its best. Learn from me, my busy friend. Slow your life and breathe. Lay your heavy burdens down and open to receive. Play it, yeah. Open, open to receive. Open, open to receive.
I felt that with every fiber of my being. All right, so we can move this out of the way. Yes, I know. There. Okay, I would like to dedicate this offering to do the work of spirit and truth to the people of Unity Center of Des Moines. And we are grateful. Thank you, everyone. Yes. And now Deb will lead us through the universal greeting of peace. We're concluding our service today. I invite you to stand up and follow along as Deb leads us through the hand motions and words.
All right, I'm going to say the words and the motions and repeat them back to me. I offer you peace.
I offer you peace.
I offer you love.
I offer you love.
I offer you friendship.
I offer you friendship.
I see your beauty.
I see your beauty.
I hear your needs.
I hear your needs.
I feel your feelings.
I feel your feelings.
My wisdom flows from the higher source.
My wisdom flows from higher source.
I salute that source in you.
And I salute that source in you.
Let us work together for unity and love.
Let us work together for unity and love.
Thank you.
Yes, let's do that. All right, everybody. I would like to invite everyone to sing our closing song in a great big circle around the room. We've got lots of people today, so plenty of room. We usually hold hands. If you don't want to hold hands, that's okay. Just put your hands over your heart, and we will still be energetically connected. Light of the divine surrounds us. The love of the divine enfolds us. The power of the divine protects us. The presence of the divine watches over us. Wherever we are, the divine is. And all is well. Thank you, everyone. That is Yoga in the healing room. There will be healing hands, energy work in the back corner. There's also the handpan class right after. We have a little snack, and I could use help with chairs. We want to make a little circle around the handpan here, and then 2 rows of 6 in the back, and then all the rest of the chairs along the wall. Thank you, everyone. I hope to see you next week. Have fun. Be well.